Hey guys, I just, really need to talk to you and get something off my chest because something really crazy has happened. And, I graduated high school, y'all! Yup, I also became Southern in the process. No, I finally graduated high school. High school, okay. And if any of y'all know a bit, wow, I'm really leaning into the Southern thing today. But if any of y'all know anything, I took a year off of school basically and like repeated. Okay, that was a lie. I didn't take off a year. I took off like half a year, and so then I repeated, and 5 years later in total I graduated, and I'm so happy and I'm so proud. And there's been a lot of ups and downs. If you've listened to any of the other episodes, you've heard a bit about it. And there were definitely times where I didn't know if this was going to happen, or it felt so far away that it just felt simply impossible and so out of reach. But it wasn't. I did it. Oh my god, oh my days. I am so happy. I like I'm really grateful to my friends and my family that didn't give up on me when I didn't believe in myself, because even though it really frustrated me when they were like, "You can do it. You can do it." And I was like, "Yeah, but like I can't." You know? I think if ultimately everyone gave up on me, I would not have been able. There were mornings where I was like crying before going to school and all this really fun and super fun, unique stuff. And, my mom or my nanny wouldn't give up on me and be like, "You can do it, you gotta go." And there were some days, obviously, where it was so overwhelming that physically, mentally, I couldn't do it and I didn't make it there. Or I'd make it there and then I'd spend basically the whole day with like a counselor or whatever because I couldn't make it to class. And at the time, it felt really weak. And maybe there were some days I could have pushed myself a little harder, but I also know there was validity to that because those were my feelings. And also the same people who were validating, saying I could do it, were in some ways understanding those feelings and validating for me at the time, even if I felt so lost in them or kind of like stuck in this quicksand of my feelings and it was just dragging me in. And I feel like feelings are basically like oobleck, right? Because if you're fighting it and if you're working through them, you can make it. You're going to be okay. And it's easier to work through and you have this momentum. Because, with oobleck, like non-Newtonian fluids, if you're hitting it, it's going to be really hard and it's going to be resistant. It's like with anything. If you're practicing something, it's going to be more resistant. It's kind of how I think about it, right? But then if I'm really starting to sit in my feelings, even if it's for a day and I'm kind of ignoring them or just not expressing them, I will fall into this trap, and I'm sure everyone does, of like, they become so amplified. And it's not that they're becoming like dramatized, but because I haven't been expressing them and almost like cleansing them off of me, or however you want to say that, it feels like everything is dreary and has this like gray tint to it of life sucks and every day is horrible, when really allowing myself to look beyond just the bad parts of the day really lets me bask in the good parts, even if it's like I was watching a TV show with my dad and I laughed, because there were times where I wouldn't want to watch anything and I wouldn't let myself laugh because I was just so focused on the negative stuff going on, or what I perceived to be so negative in my head, whether it was about myself or the stuff going on in my life. So just like celebrating the little wins. I forgot I was even talking about school. I kind of just got right into it. But yeah, I graduated and I'm really happy. And right now I'm definitely struggling because I didn't end up where I wanted to in every capacity, right? So my school has like a lot of pressure to go to really big and like really smart schools and stuff, and obviously that's great, and I understand why, and it's great to aspire to stuff. However, I'm not ending up there right now, and that's because for several reasons, and that's okay. But I'm going to a community college, and that's because when I switched schools,
I don't know
like
if
at
I
the
should keep
beginning
this
of the year,
in.
right? Nah, I feel like I should keep this
And
in because there's really nothing wrong with it. Also, Community is my favorite TV show, so maybe I'm just really sticking to the dream and following the script. I'm just kidding. But basically, I had to rescind all my college applications, and I believe I talked about that. Anyways, I had to like take them all back, which kind of obviously sucked because I put in all this work and I was really excited. And when I did that, I knew I'd have to go to community college. And at the time, it was just like I was thinking just first semester, right? Just so like, and then I would transfer. And my whole life, I've never thought there was anything wrong with community college. I want to make that very clear. However, I had expectations for myself set somewhat upon me by the people around me and by my peers and my peers' parents and just kind of the status quo of where I grew up that made me feel like I was really inferior because of that, even though that's not the case. You can get an awesome education, or it can be a starting point. And also, getting an education in any degree is such a blessing and it's such a privilege. So, all that stuff aside, I'm also just really happy to be continuing my education. And I was thinking to myself about this, right? When I was like, also, when I realized I'm not just going to go for a semester, I'm probably going to have to go for a whole year, which is fine because I haven't been in school for a full year in 3 years. That's a long time, right? Because of trips to the loony bin and things like that, and like obviously because I did that and because I put myself first, I was able to graduate and like make it to where I am now. But there's definitely a part of me that feels like I'm so behind because of that. And I'll talk about this a bit later, but I thought that would fade when I graduated, but I feel it's getting a bit worse, yeah. But we'll get into that later. So back to college. I haven't taken a full year of school in 3 years. That's a lot of time. Also, like those were like high school years, like pretty critical, serious, preparing yourself for university type years of school. So it's not only important to prove to colleges that I can do this, right? But that I can prove it to myself that I can do this. And also, is this even something that I truly want? Because maybe college one day won't be for me. I've always thought I wanted to be a lawyer. I still feel that way, but who knows? There's a lot of school in my future, and I know there's a big part of me right now that doesn't feel like that's possible at all. And giving up on that thing that I've dreamed for myself for so long is absolutely horrifying. So I don't want to get into that right now. That's for another episode. But yeah, so back to like taking these classes. I'm taking classes I'm interested in, and that's really important to me. I'm taking classes that, because I want to transfer, are going to set me up so that I can transfer kind of ideally and that are going to match other places, which is great. And one reason for that is like I was really making an effort to communicate with academic advisors and people at different schools to talk about what would transfer and things like that. So if you're anywhere in that process, I really recommend that. It's going to set you up a bit better and for more success. Obviously, nothing's guaranteed, and I understand that. Even if I don't want to accept it, I understand it because those are two different things, of course. But yeah, so I'm really excited to prove to myself like I can do school, and I grew up being someone that really liked school, and I know part of that is like academic validation was my only form of validation, you know? So obviously there's a very toxic relationship because of that, but that toxic relationship was so exacerbated by the time my mental health was at its like my kind of its worst. I was gonna say its peak, but no, it was at its worst. I guess my mental health struggles were at their peak, but like that also I really was resenting how school was making me, right? And I was like, school is, as I said, a place I'm crying before I go. It's a place I'm fearing. I literally still have dreams, right? This is really bad, but I literally have dreams almost every night of myself either running away from like a school situation or a mental institution. And it's under really weird circumstances, and it's like more so about the bonds of friendship that I have from those places. But maybe again another conversation for another episode, but just something I thought I'd get into. What was I talking about? Give me a sec. Oh, fudge. See, this is why I can't go on to tangents. I was talking about my dreams. Oh, school. Yeah, but why was I talking about school? I am so sorry. Are you really silly? Really silly? Maybe I was just talking about the fact that I want to prove to myself that school is really important. Oh, yeah, because of the academic validation and how that turned really toxic. See, guys, if you walk yourself in a circle, you can get back to where you need. And let that inspire you, you know? Because bring it back to community, in the words of Jeff Winger, something like this. Like, I realized at a very young age, if I talk long enough, I can convince anyone that I'm right. Either I'm God or truth is relative, and either way, booyah. Okay, I stumbled through that, but like I got there. Don't mess. Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, community, for that. Truly, I think it's boosting my confidence a bit, but my confidence will be boosted when I get over this little academic validation, toxic relationship thing that I set up for myself. And I remember having teachers in like 7th and 8th grade, and this is not flex, okay? This is not a flex. I remember having teachers that were like, "You're gonna burn yourself out. You're setting yourself up to burn out," and I was like, guys, I'm literally built different. What do you mean? What the hell are you talking about? You're wrong. I'm actually a god, and you haven't seen anyone like me before. As if they hadn't had anyone say anything like that all year, or as if like my friends weren't saying that. That was another thing. I was like friends with a lot of people on purpose that would like push me academically, but not in a good way. We're not really friends anymore. Cheerio. But yeah, so I'm gonna get through these classes, right? And I'm gonna update you along the way, and then I'm gonna apply to transfer, which is gonna be crazy, but I'm excited. I'm really excited to restore that relationship, as I said, of like, I like learning. I love learning, and I felt so sad when that became clouded. And this past year, when I switched schools, I wasn't fully able to take all the classes that I wanted to because it was late. And I'll talk more about this later, but just like I'm really excited to get back into that. Okay, I lost my train of thought a bit at the end there, and I wanted to talk about my next paint. So we're gonna get into some things of like looking back on high school and like advice, I guess. Whoa, something just fell. And I don't know what it was. And I don't know if you could hear it. But it was kind of scary. Guys, you want to know a big fear of mine? And then I'll get into the next point. Because I go on walks a lot, as we know, my little hot girl walks, or my, right? And I have a big fear that a seed, or like particularly an acorn, is going to fall on my head one day when I'm walking. And you might be like, what are the odds of that, Emily? Oh my god. Also, I never said it. Hey, I'm Emily. Well, welcome back to Onward. But yeah, you might be like, what the heck are the odds? You're so silly goose. And I'm like, no, I'm not silly goose. Duck, duck, goose. Because I've been walking a lot. And like, an acorn will fall behind me or right in front of me. And I'm like, if I took another step, if I took one step slower, if I didn't cross the street at the exact time I did, would I have amnesia? Would I even remember an acorn fell on my head, or would I just wake up on the cement? Confused. I don't know if that's, or also like birds pooping. Because when I'm walking, I also love to look at the birds. But sometimes they fly right above me, and I do have a fear, even if it's good luck, that it will poop on my head. And fun fact, before my brother passed his driver's test, a bird did poop on his head. Maybe it was good luck, or maybe he was shit out of luck. Okay. Anyways, so my like first piece of advice, and this is a bit boring, is to really encourage you to build relationships with like your teachers or your guidance counselors or whatever you have, like your deans, because that really got me through. And it also like recommendations and stuff, and it made me really comfortable asking for help in those classes. And I've learned I'm not the best at advocating for myself in a situation where it's like, I need help. Hey, I'm struggling and I need help. That's another thing I wish I was better at. But when I've had these relationships, closer relationships with these teachers, and I feel like I can talk to them about other things, admitting almost a weakness or what felt, and again, asking, and not again, but like asking for help is not a weakness, okay? Not at all. It's actually quite a strength, quite the opposite. And I wish I understood that sooner, because I've always heard that and I'm like, yeah, but what if I could just be the best at everything? Yeah, good luck, girl. That's not happening. Okay. So I found, though, with these teachers I was closer with, going to them for help and stuff was a lot easier. And like going to my dean, who was someone that really, really, really encouraged me a lot. And I don't think I would have been able to get through high school without, not gonna lie. Um, shout out, shout out. Yeah, it just made it a lot better. I don't know if I completed that sentence, but sometimes that's life and that's gonna happen, and she wouldn't mind, so I don't mind. Yeah. More, I don't really know if I'd say this is fun. But like friends change, that's okay. Okay. And friends changing can actually be quite the good thing. Take it from me. Oh my goodness gracious. I think I did this to myself on purpose. Not, okay, I wouldn't say on purpose, but I set myself up for failure a lot. Okay? Because, especially when I was younger, before I really started to accept this, slash totally ostracize myself accidentally as a product of this. Anyways, I was trying to be friends with people that I thought were cool or I thought would make me look cool. And like, this sounds really gross to admit, but I feel like it's not that uncommon, at least subconsciously. Maybe I'm trying to make myself feel better. I don't know, but it's definitely something that I did. And I remember even my nanny like telling me this. She was like, "Why are you friends with these people? I don't think you really want to be friends with them. I think you want to be friends with what they have almost, you know?" I was like, "Shoots. You got me." But I didn't admit it at the time. So I kept going through this, and then I kept putting myself through the heartbreak of losing these people in really usually quite bombastic, like explosive ways, right? And I was thinking about this recently of like, if you are someone who like keeps putting yourself kind of into like negative relationships romantically because you crave what a piece of what that gives you, but everything else is bad. And I've talked to my friends kind of in these situations sometimes and like be like, at the end of the day, you got to put yourself first. I was never putting myself first. So who was I to ever give this advice that I couldn't take? Like, if I was going to dish it, I got to take it, you know? And I think also to prove to these people, not that it's about proving it, but at least to like, I don't know. This sounds too self-righteous, but like, to just prove it's possible in a way, I had to enact it for myself. Also, if I wanted to respect myself, because that's pretty important, and put myself above relationships I was only getting certain things out of. And even recently, this is true, and like, I I think only this most recent time it was easier because I truly realized like it is about putting myself first, and also because, and this is so important, I started before this kind of like last friendship breakup happened or whatever. I put myself first by choosing to be friends with the right people when I switched back to school, right? And I was hanging out with people that genuinely shared interests with me, whereas people in the past would bully me for the interests that I was bonding with these people over, which is absolutely ridiculous because, like, sorry I had a hobby, but not even that. Like, why are you making fun of people, the things that bring people joy, rather than focusing on the stuff that's going to bring you joy? I've never understood it, but to each their own, I suppose, but also cut that shit out. I'm going to give you a knuckle sandwich. Okay, good talk. I'm going to put powdered mashed potatoes on your lawn before it rains. Someone told me that once, and I think it's the most brilliant idea I've ever heard, and I really want to do it. I don't know if I will, but I really want to do it. Watch out. Don't cross me, or else you're going to get mashed potato lawn. Sorry, not sorry. Build a snowman with it. Build a potato man, or potato them with it. We don't discriminate. It's 2025. Some people do, but not me. Okay. We need to work on that. Thanks. What was I even saying? Oh, right. Being friends with the right people. But I would walk away from hanging out with these people with this feeling of like, oh, gosh diggity darn. That's what it's like to hang out with someone that makes you happy. That's what it's like to hang out with people that lift you up, that validate you. And when I tell you the fact that I'm 18 and 19 when this is happening, that I like, and this is the first time I felt this, and it was such a revelation, was so laughable to me. It was so laughable, but also, in all seriousness, the most like, I think it was so laughable because it was so obvious of a feeling. It was so obvious that this is what it's supposed to be. Oh yeah, this is what it's all about. You know? No wonder I had such doubt before in relationships, where there was a part of me that was like fearful or scared of advocating myself in that in these relationships, because because like I was being othered for certain things and I was hiding aspects of myself because of it, but also because there was nothing in common, and like there was no validation or anything like that. And that's okay, because those people that it didn't work out with me for have great relationships with other people. It seems that way. And I'm sure they do, you know? And that's great because they have stuff in common. But those simply were not my people. And I'm happy I found my people, you know? Because it is so fun. And I finally, like, oh my gosh, when I was on TikTok, I would see, like, this is girlhood, you know? This is girlhood. Braiding each other's hair at a sleepover. Or, like, something stupid. Whatever it was. I don't even know. Or, like, laughing so hard until your belly hurts. And I'm like, yeah, but I haven't had that with a friend, really, because I'm scared. I'm, like, really embarrassed about my laugh. You want to know one of the first things these girls said to me? Like, unprompted. Oh, my God. Your laugh is so fun. It's so uplifting. Like, whatever. Guys, I'm literally gonna cry. Me? You're saying that about little old me? Oh my god. Stop it. No, but seriously, like, and I know that's quite a self-absorbed example, but it kind of had to be the first time, though. Because it was the first time I felt something like that, of being lifted up. Or, and unrelated to that, being asked for plans. Oh, you're asking me for plans? I don't just have to ask you. Oh my god. Wait. I can't make it, so but you want me to be there, so you'll wait till I can be there? That is so kind. And then I talk to people and they're like, that is kind of bare minimum. And I'm like, see, that's what I thought, but I wasn't being treated that way for a long time. Okay, so lit. So I guess what I want to say about that is, like, friends changing really is okay and can lead to beautiful things, but also be who you are, however that song goes. Like, be friends with the people that are going to bring out the best parts of you and are going to make you happy based on the things that you make you happy, because they're going to lift you up based on what you find. Like, they're going to find what beauty in what you see as your weaknesses and things like that, and they're going to find beauty in your strengths, and you vice versa. And you're going to laugh so hard, like, your belly hurts, and it's going to be the best thing ever. And it's going to be so girlhood. Yeah. And then the other thing that I want to talk about pop music. Guys, I really fear, like, this is going to be a dated episode because of my references, but here's the thing. My brain is an encyclopedia of references. So at the end of the day, I could be making these same references in years. Guess you gotta come back and find out. I guess so. But the next thing I'm going to talk about is genuinely the most important thing to me. Okay. Maybe the second most important thing, given what I was just talking about. But I think it also goes in tandem with it. And I wrote a teeny little jot in my notes down. So if it sounds like I'm reading something, it's because I am. And it's not going to be profound, but I'm going to explain it after. Thanks for listening. The thing I regret most is not seriously pursuing art or things just because I didn't think I was good enough to do so, and because I was scared of it. I'm no better now than I was then, but I could have been if I let myself try. And I know not everything matters, but it does to me, or at least it feels like it did, you know. by that I mean artists are always like, you have to scrap so many pieces of junk work, right? That no one is going to see. Yeah, but I'm going to see it. And my stupid, so fragile, ego that exists for absolutely no reason is going to be, its feelings are going to be hurt. It's going to get a boo boo by that, you know? So because of that, 12 years ago, the last time I took an art class, basically, like seriously, I told myself that wasn't just because I needed a credit for high school. I told myself, I'm never going to take art because I feel like crap about myself when I look at the art. However, art makes me so happy when I do it. Hello? Reel it back. That makes no sense, little Emily. Why are you going to avoid what makes you happy? Anything's scary. Like, roller coasters are scary, but that makes people really happy. So you don't be a little pussy and try, you know? But I remember being really young, and I remember being in this art class for, like, again, kindergartners. And I was looking at my art and comparing it to other people in the room. We're, like, comparing it to the examples done by the teachers. Hello? You're 6. You're not Van Gogh. And then I was like, I got a Van Gogh out of here. Ah ha ha. No, but seriously, and art has always made me so happy to do it on the side, just as a hobby. And it's something that has always de-stressed me. Sorry. It's something that has always calmed me down, relieved anxiety. It's brought me a lot of healing. It's brought me closer together with people. It's what I'm drawn to do in my free time. So it really never made sense to me why this was the case, other than the fact that I was just scared of not even failing, but being uncomfortable with getting better. And oh my gosh, oh my guys, I remember being in res, and one of the quotes was like, success doesn't happen in the comfort zone because you don't learn anything in the comfort zone. Duh. And I wish I realized that earlier in this regard. And I remember when I was at my last school, I took art class and was in art class, and I was so encouraged to learn, and like for the sake of learning, and that it doesn't have to be good because it's learning, and like every day I was doing something just because it made me happy, and it really reminded me that art is not something that I can abandon in my life because it brings me so much joy and so much comfort, and when I start to abandon it, I'm not regulating myself, right? Because it's such an easy way for me to self-regulate, and it's so important to me, and it doesn't have to, it can be anything. It can be crocheting, it can be a coloring page, it can be doodling, it can be making a birthday card for someone. It really doesn't matter. I think it's just something about maybe the movement of things and seeing something grow from nothing, I think is really cool. I don't know why, but it's pretty lit. Also, do you ever watch a pencil draw right from the tip and you're like, wow, how is it doing that? Because I do. I most certainly do. And I love that. But yeah. So I just finished an internship, and this is related, I promise, where I was doing art. And I remember one part of it, of like everyone else complaining, be like, oh, this sucks. And I'm like, yeah, I get to do art though. This is lit. And obviously everyone's always like, if you love what you do, you never have to work a day in your life. And I was like, yeah, good luck though. Good luck. But then I did that, and I felt it. And obviously, hold on, I need to clear my throat. Guys, I'm sick. I'm sorry. Like, genuinely. I went to work accidentally, and I had a fever. Or at least I did when I got home. And I had the chills in the office, and I was like, why am I so weak? It was also like 90-something that day, so very odd of me, right? It should have clicked earlier. But it didn't. Back to art. So I had this internship, and everyone's like, if you love what you do, it shouldn't feel like work a day in your life. And I'm like, yeah, true, bestie. However, as I said, good luck. And then I did it. And then I was like, why did I not? I would love to try and do art more in my life, and like seriously, like in college, and take these classes. But girl, starting now seems crazy in that way. And obviously I can't like I have friends that are in art school, and I've always looked up to them because of the fact that they just pursued something they loved. And it seemed so silly to me that I couldn't do it, but they're doing it. And like my mom just retired, right? And sorry, mom, she's like in her 60s, okay, and she just retired, and she's been doing pottery now for several years, and she's gotten so much better. And seeing her do that, and again, like, guys, I'm not even 20, like, I have lots of time to learn how to do something. I just didn't realize, like, just because I didn't do something since I was in elementary school doesn't mean I have to do it forever, which is ridiculous. Again, I feel like that's something that's kind of like was a culture in my town, like, if you're not the best, you have to be the best, you know. And everyone around me was doing their sports since they were so little and things like that, that I felt like if I hadn't had this early start, I could never start. But that's crap. And yesterday I was telling my dad this, and I feel like it was the first time I really talked about it in this way of like, what if, this big what if of like, what if, you know, it made me so happy, but I can't go to art school, I can't make a life out of this. And obviously it's so hard to be a successful writer, but I just mean in the way of like doing something that makes me happy, right? So I have this big what if, and he was like, yeah, but, and I was saying how like I felt really bad, and I was embarrassed because I was so bad, and he's like, girl, Emily, you were never bad, you were just learning. Hello, oh my god, say it again for the people in the back. You were never bad, you're just learning. Are you kidding me? Are you yoking me? Are you pulling my leg? Hello, because if someone must have told me that, but I no, like, someone needed to have forced that down my little brain a long time ago, because I have not stopped thinking about it since. And obviously a part of me is like, that what if is worse now, of like, what if, but I still feel like I'm so bad, and there's so many days where I want to do an art project or I want to try and draw something, and I'm like, yeah, but it's gonna look like crap, so I shouldn't. But not anymore. Not anymore. Now I know I'm not bad at something. I'm literally trying, because like, if it's your first time doing something, that nobody's perfect, you know, in the words of Miley Cyrus, nobody's perfect. I don't know the next line, but like, da-na-na-na-na. Okay, you get the vibe. And everybody makes mistakes, and everybody has those days. You know what I'm talking about. You know, okay. And it's so true, because how are you going to be perfect at something you've never done? You're not a prodigy. Or the chances of you being a prodigy are so slim. But I guess I thought that, again, if I wasn't the best at anything, what was the point in doing it? And that is so sad. And I'm done, however, letting it make me, I'm sorry. I am done letting it make me sad, because, like I said, I've been doing that for like 12, 13 years, and it's boring and depressing, and I don't like it, and I'm tired of it. And now that I've had this taste of like what happiness, art in any capacity brings me, I need to make sure that I'm doing it. So obviously that there was a lot of regret there, but it's turning into something good, and I'm happy. And I'm gonna make a video, shout out YouTube, where I try like for a week, I try a new type of art every day, and I think that'll force me to like get right into it and try and be better, or at least like try and be better at staying persistent despite failure, and keep on going, and also to like forget about the mistakes, because each day is a new day, as they say. You know. Anyways, that's all I have for this episode. I was going to talk about stuff looking forward to summer. However, I'm going to save that for its own episode, because I have a lot of things I want to talk about. I'm back at my internship from last summer, though, which is really exciting. We're going to talk about stuff from there. But I really wanted to make an episode kind of talking about graduation and all that stuff, and also just like high school and my high school experience a bit, and what I learned / advice I had, because I mean, I literally had an extra year kind of to get some experience, but I also feel like the things that I went through were not unique at all, and the feelings I felt were not unique, and maybe I experienced them in some capacity to a unique way in terms of like how my life played out, you know, but not really, like only unique to some people. And yeah, I think just, I don't know, there's things that anyone can relate to, and I hope that it brought a little bit of comfort to hear that, you're not alone in that. And now I'm getting cheesy and I literally want to punch myself in the face. But guess what? I'm not going to do that. And I hope you all have a lovely day. Please don't punch yourself in the face. And if you graduated, hell freaking yeah. And if you're working on graduating, that wasn't English, hell freaking yeah. And shout outs to the friends I made this year because, wow. Like, you've changed my life and my perspective and taught me a lot already in so few months. And that's really litty. Pretty litty. Are you really silly? So yeah, thanks guys. This was Honored, and I'm gonna probably film that episode about summer literally tomorrow, so get excited. Yay! Alright, love y'all. We're doing so many accents this episode. Bye! Okay, rate, like, subscribe, do the whole shebang. I feel like I say that a lot. Anyways, yeah, bye.